Brown University says Trump's win wasn't surprising. He's a professor in political economy. He says the roots of Trump's win go all the way back to the 1980s or earlier. Professor Blythe joins us now from Providence. Professor, thanks a lot for coming on. I wanted to have you on because I saw a lecture that you gave. I think it was November 24th. And I thought it was one of the smartest things I'd ever heard about American politics.
This Tucker Carlson guy.
Viewers will look it up. But in it, you said, look, I'm a Democrat. I'm not a Trump supporter. But this was not a surprise, his victory, because it was rooted in economic conditions. And as you put it, it was not a local event. Will you explain what you meant?
Yeah, certainly. Let's go back to the 1970s and start there, the last time capitalism was being questioned by a bunch of people. Back then, we had an inflationary crisis. And part of that was because labour markets got really, really tight and wages were being bid up all the time. The only way businesses can respond to this is by pushing prices up. And then when you push prices up, wages...
Look at this guy's face. I hate this guy's face all the fucking time, dude.
Brown University...
The inflation. So to break the crisis, and part of that was because labour markets got really, really tight and wages were being bid up all the time. The only way businesses can respond to this is by pushing prices up. And then when you push prices up, wages move, and that's what creates the inflation. So to break that spiral, we raised interest rates, deregulated the financial sector, what we now call globalized production chains, moved factories around, and the world changed. And when we did this, we started caring about full employment as a thing. We started to care about price stability. Now run this out, and what you get is a world where productivities continue to go up, but wages for a lot of people, particularly in the heartland, have stagnated. That heartland's not just in the US, it's in Sunderland in the United Kingdom, which explains Brexit. It's in France in the industrial regions. So this is a common story. And in response to that break between productivity and wages, you've got a world of super low prices where it's very hard to get a pay rise. What have people done in response? They've levered up. They've taken on lots of debt, lots of personal debt. And that debt, it's very hard to pay that back when your wages aren't rising. So the notion that we have politicians everywhere saying everything's fine, vote for us, we've got full employment, when the lived experience of people through this past 30 years is one where their wages buy less and less and their prospects are narrower and narrower, just rings hollow. So Trump is not an isolated phenomenon. It's breaking out everywhere.
So, and without inflation, of course, it's harder to pay that debt off. So I have two questions for you. The first, you had a line in here, and I actually didn't check these numbers, and I should, and hopefully they're right. You said in 2015, Wall Street bonuses totaled $28.4 billion in the United States, just the bonuses. Meanwhile, total compensation for all Americans working for minimum wage, total compensation, was $14 billion, less than half.
Yeah, it was half.
So the case you're making is that...
Wait, what? What a worthless... Oh, what a bad statistic. Hold on, let me hear this again.
In 2000, without inflation, of course, it's harder to pay that debt off. So I have two questions for you. The first, you had a line in here, and I actually didn't check these numbers, and I should, and hopefully they're right. You said in 2015, Wall Street bonuses totaled $28.4 billion in the United States, just the bonuses. Meanwhile, total compensation for all Americans working for minimum wage, total compensation, was $14 billion, less than half.
Yeah, it was half.
So the case you're making is that globally...
Wait, Destiny, why is that bad? Wait, really? Okay, let's play some games. We'll have a quiz, okay?
Hopefully they're right. You said in 2015, Wall Street bonuses totaled $28.4 billion.
Okay. So we have Wall Street bonuses. Oh, hold on, sorry. Wall Street bonuses totaled $28 billion. Whoops.
In the United States, just the bonuses. Meanwhile, total compensation for all Americans working for minimum wage.
Okay. Minimum wage total compensation equals $14 billion.
Total compensation was $14 billion, less than half.
Yeah, it was half.
So the case you're making is that globally the middle class is dying. Is that
global middle class equals dying?
an overstatement?
It's not as much of an overstatement as we would want it to be, because sadly it's true.
We'll listen to the rest of the video and see if anything else comes out.
Think about it this way, another simple statistic. Most Americans, that is more than half of all Americans who are working today, are working for less than $22 an hour. Yet at the same time, the economy's never been richer, it's never been more productive. Right. That average should be much higher. So when you have politician after politician,
$22 an hour equals bad.
Both Republican and Democrat, coming into areas like the blue wall states that are supposedly rock solid and telling them everything's okay when clearly it's not, then of course you're going to get a reaction to that.
So why, I mean, because we know that political turmoil is bad, but it almost always follows economic turmoil. So this is clearly a problem, and it's been decades in the making, and you've noted it, and others have, to be fair. Why didn't the political class respond to it in a meaningful way?
To take the American story, so much of it, I think, has to do with campaign finance. I mean, so much of the system is set up gearing all the time to raising money. And when you've developed an economy where that money basically belongs to a very small segment of society, it becomes an insider game. And when you have a polity which is its own little bubble, as Washington, D.C. uniquely is, and everyone talks to each other, they're immune to signals coming elsewhere. But what I also saw this with Brexit. The chattering classes in London could not believe that the British people would vote their way out of the EU. It doesn't make any sense. We're much better off. Well, to those people, those connections are just not as clear.
No, they're not at all. And more turmoil ahead if they don't recognize it. Professor, thanks a lot for joining us. Really interesting. November 24th. You should watch it.
Okay, I know that this all sounds like semantics, and maybe nobody really cares. Maybe I'm just an asshole. I don't even think I want to talk about this. Never mind. I don't want to get into this because I think I'm just gonna get fucking triggered. This guy is a political science and a professor of international political economy. I don't know what this means, but I'm guessing it doesn't have much to do with economics, or at least I hope it doesn't. I don't know. If you watch the longer videos, he's a pretty smart guy. I don't know if I believe it, dude. He might be, but after seeing just that, I have a hard time believing it. I don't know. Political economy is literally the relationship between politics and economics, so not economics? I don't know, dude. Why was that a stupid argument? Okay. I feel like I'm going to get really triggered having this discussion. Okay, this is how people lie using statistics to feed you a narrative when they're not interested in having an honest discussion with you, okay? So if I opened up a book and I read this, I would close the book immediately and I wouldn't feel like I'm missing anything from my life by not reading the rest of the book, okay? I would happily encourage you to do the same, okay? Because when you read intelligent things by intelligent people, they're usually giving you intelligent statistics in meaningful ways that contextualize what they're talking about, rather than trying to hit you upside the head with some buzz numbers that mean absolutely nothing, okay? So, Wall Street's total bonus compensation was $28 billion, okay? The amount of money earned in the United States, total compensation of all minimum wage earners, was $14 billion. What does this number tell you? It tells you absolutely nothing. It means absolutely nothing. There is no relationship between these two groups whatsoever. What the fuck do these two numbers have to do with anything? First of all, how many people even earn minimum wage? Pro tip, I'm pretty sure it's less than 5% of the American population, okay? So, these numbers have no relationship to each other whatsoever. Destiny, what's your academic background? Like, high school? I don't know. Like, critical thinking? I'm not even sure, like, what... I don't really know what to say. I don't know what academic background, high school stats or high school econ or any basic ability to critically think or analyze information should tell you that this is a really stupid thing. Like, you should never... Why are you comparing these two things? Like, so I'll tell you why. Typically, when you're trying to get people to believe in a certain narrative, you spit out like two things that are totally unrelated whatsoever. Like, so yeah, so this thing here is not good, okay? It doesn't mean anything. So first of all, so I'm really triggered by the fact that this isn't the point that Wall Street just gets paid super high, but that isn't inherently a problem. Wall Street getting paid super high isn't a problem. And no economist will tell you Wall Street getting paid a lot of money is very bad, because that doesn't mean anything. Now, Wall Street getting paid a lot at the expense of taxpayers by not paying into the tax system could be bad. Wall Street getting paid a lot while similar jobs are threatened due to the activities of Wall Street might be very bad. Wall Street getting paid a lot of money because of risky trading that puts people's investment packages at risk might be bad. But Wall Street making a lot of money inherently isn't a bad thing. And if anything, it's a positive thing. So Wall Street making a lot of money, that might be really good. Wall Street making lots of money, that might be a good stat. You want Wall Street to make lots of money. You want everybody to make lots of money. Minimum wage compensation being $14 billion, I don't know if that's a lot or a little. How many people make a minimum wage? Is that an increase or a decrease from last year? What about, what if it's going down because less people are earning minimum wage? What if it's going, there's these numbers mean nothing. These numbers mean nothing. I'm sorry, some people are like, Destiny, it's just like a blah, blah, blah. This is a really, 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 really irresponsible use of stats. This is a bad thing. This is cancer. This is the cancer killing society. So when somebody gets on a news interview where they've got 4 minutes to make a point and all they do is use it to spread cancer, it hurts. I guess it hurts me as somebody that is capable of even applying the smallest amount of critical thinking. Like, it hurts to see stuff like that. The average wage is $22 an hour, therefore the middle class is dying. I don't even know if these statements will necessarily follow. What about the purchasing power of the American dollar? How has the average cost of gasoline changed over the past 10 years? How is the average cost of a gallon of milk paid? What if you find out that the average wage is $22 an hour, but if you were to graph the percentage that Americans spend on food and housing of their total income is going down, but the wage itself was staying the same, what would that tell you? Well, maybe even though wages haven't risen, maybe trade with other countries has brought the cost of other products down, so in a way, we're all kind of wealthier, right? What I'm saying is that this number alone tells you nothing. It doesn't tell you anything. A majority make less than 20. Yeah, but this doesn't tell you anything. There are other indexes that you can use this, right? Like consumer purchasing power or purchasing power parity or whatever. There are other indexes that you could use. Or I think some people will measure salaries or average wages as a cost of a gallon of milk or a cost of a barrel of gasoline or a gallon of gasoline, right? Like, Destiny, how is he supposed to cover this in 4 minutes? You either cover something correctly or you shut the fuck up and you don't talk at all. Because all you're doing when you throw this kind of shit out is giving random talking. Why would you say that? I couldn't do that to you with anything else in anything. I couldn't. It hurts. It hurts because Kira is an alt-righter in chat, and I know that he's part of the group of people that doesn't know anything about anything. If I went on to TV and I said, well, the sky, it's purple, yeah. And and then that's my 4-minute interview, right? And then I were to say, dude, the sky's not purple, it's blue. There's like a whole bunch, like, what are you talking about? And then you're like, dude, he was only on TV for 4 minutes. Do you expect him to completely explain why the sky is the color it is? He was only there for 4 minutes, dude. No, that's not how that works. Just because you have a limited amount of time doesn't mean that you can present factually misleading information to make a point. That's not how that works. This is autism. This is intellectual cancer that is rotting society. But the reporter brought it up. The reporter was quoting him, and he didn't say anything against it. Why would you let somebody sit there and weaken your argument for you? Because nobody cares. Destiny, true, but he gave us some stats. Having some info is better than no info. That's not true! Why do people think that? That's not true, dude! Oh, no. I can't, dude. I can't. I knew because I don't want to have this conversation because then I have to see how fucking stupid the average person actually is. In my chat, I'm seeing it right now. At least he gave us some stats. Having some info is better than no info. That's absolutely not true. Why would you say that? If I walk up to you and I say, well, 95% of women are retarded, and it's like, well, that stat may or may not be true, but it's better to have some info than no info. What? That doesn't tell you anything. What do you mean? Why would you think that? Those numbers are related, though, aren't they? No, they're not. They don't tell you anything. Better alternative facts than no facts. Nice misrepresenting the position completely. King Edam, do you want to come on and chat, dude? Do you want to talk about alternative facts, dog? Do you have Discord or Skype? We can have a little chit-chat. Do you want to, Doug? Destiny, breathe. You missed their argument. They used the first number to show the economy is healthy. The second number was to show the middle class is not healthy. But that doesn't mean the middle class isn't healthy. The fact that wages haven't gone up doesn't necessarily, it's non sequitur, right? It doesn't necessarily mean the middle class is unhealthy. If prices are falling and wages are staying the same, then that's a positive thing. You need a different type of measurement. Or Destiny, random numbers isn't better than nothing if they don't support your argument. Yeah, so let me give like a quick example, okay? And I remember we went over this in psych class, okay? Let me just give you like a quick, you know what, never mind. Okay, listen, I'm just gonna give you a hypothetical example, okay? If you've ever taken like a psych or sociology class or whatever, right? Or even economics, right? One of the biggest, most difficult things to do is to sort out confounding variables, right? This is something that you have to be careful of, okay? You have to be careful of what questions are your statistics answering, or what are they pointing you towards for your statistics, okay? So let me give you an example, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna draw a hypothetical graph, okay? On the left here, okay, we're gonna have our grades, okay? And then on the right here, we're going to start with 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? Destiny, I'm not saying you're wrong, but you're listing all these reasons why they could be wrong instead of actual reasons they are. Because I don't know the actual reasons they are, because I'm not an informed person, okay? I don't know the reasons why they're wrong. But if you're presenting an argument, the onus is on you to tell me why your stats are correct. All I can say, as a semi-educated person, is that your stats do not provide the answers that you claim they are. You need more data. That is what I am saying. I didn't say his numbers were wrong. His numbers might be right, but they do not support his conclusion. I know that to be true. I know that to be true. The amount of money that Wall Street makes and the amount of money in total that minimum wage workers make, that those two stats, firstly, are almost entirely unrelated, and secondly, they do not answer any questions about the economy, other than how much money did Wall Street make and how much money did minimum wage workers make. I know that to be true, okay? Okay, I'm sorry. Don't ask me about this. Okay, listen, look, real fast, okay? Okay, so here we go. We have grades, and then we have hours slept, okay? So let's say that you do a study in school, okay? And you survey kids and you ask them, we're gonna do D, C, B, and A, okay? So let's say you do a survey in school, okay? And you survey people, how much sleep do you get versus how much, I think he gave a better example with the average wage of Americans. I know, goddamn Twitch, but that's because you don't know what you're talking about. But I'm telling you, as somebody that isn't quite as stupid as you are, that that's not a good number. If you go and you read, go and read. Just go read papers from any economist or whatever. You will never, ever see a statement like that. Like, the average wage of Americans is $22 an hour. Therefore, the middle class is dying. That is not a statement that an educated person makes, because that statement is non sequitur. It doesn't connect. If these were train tracks, they wouldn't be on the same rails. It doesn't connect at all. Read anything, any study by it. We could go over the Boros studies that I read on immigration and all the preparation that I did for the Lawrence Southern debate. On any paper written by any cuck SJW economist, by any right-leaning economist. I don't even think Cato Institute deals in misrepresentation of fact that badly. Like, maybe Pew. I can't do it, dude. I just wanted to give my example and be done. Destiny, I have linked this article a bunch of times. Okay, for most workers, real wages have barely budged for decades. Okay, this graph tells you one thing and one thing alone, okay? All it tells you is that you're making about the same dollar amount that you were 40, 50, 60 years ago. It doesn't tell you anything about your ability to buy product. It doesn't tell you any of these things. That's all this graph tells you. You cannot extrapolate off of this graph without additional data. Let us read the article. Following the better-than-expected September jobs report, several economic analysts have pointed out the continuing lack of meaningful wage growth, even as tens of thousands of people head back to work. Economic Thereafter predicts as labor markets tighten, employers will offer higher wages to entice workers their way. But a look at 5 decades worth of government wage data suggests that the better question might be, why should it not be any different? For most U.S. workers, real wages, that is, after inflation is taken into account, have been flat or even falling for decades, regardless of whether the economy has been adding or subtracting jobs. Cash money isn't the only way workers are compensated, of course. Health insurance, retirement account contributions, education and transit subsidies, and other benefits can all be part of the package, but wages and salaries are the biggest, about 70% according to the Bureau, and most visible component of employee compensation. This is a good thing to add. According to BLS, the average hourly wage for non-management private sector workers last month was $20.67, unchanged from August and 2.3% above the average wage a year earlier. That's not much, especially compared to the previous recession years of 2006-2007, when the hourly wage often increased by around 4% year after year during the high inflation years, blah, 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 blah. But after adjusting for inflation, today's average hourly wage has just the same purchasing power, which is the number that I was talking about earlier. After adjusting for inflation, today's average hourly wage has just about the same purchasing power as it did in 1979. This is an important statement, following alongside the 1980s and early 1990s and bumpy, inconsistent growth since then. In fact, in real terms, the average wage peaked more than 40 years ago. The $4.03 an hour rate recorded in January 1973 has the same purchasing power as $22.41 would today. This paragraph in here changes everything. Do you not see how this is different than what the other guy was talking about? Like, do you not understand that you just proved my point so much and you don't even understand it? I'm sorry, dude. I'm not trying to sound condescending. Like, I can't, dude. I'm sorry, man. I can't deal with you people. This article is much more comprehensive and gives you much more information than just pointing out a fucking graph and giving you some fucking figures, is what I'm trying to say. If you can't understand that, go back to school, pick up a book, and stop talking about politics anywhere on the internet, because you're not equipped to have the conversation, is what I'm saying. If you don't understand the difference between this explanation and bringing in other variables to explain what's going on versus just saying, well, $24 million and $15 million is that thing, right? Then just stop talking to anybody about this. You shouldn't have these conversations. You're not worthy. Just stop. Jesus Christ. Is he really comparing two stats versus the whole article? Yes! Because he thinks it proved his point. Maybe Pew Research's alternative fact. Little change in purchasing power overhead, so no change in power and wages. Lol. But that needs to be stated. Because if the average wage stays the same and purchasing power dramatically increases, that tells a much different story than if wages stay the same and purchasing power falls. You need the purchasing power in there to give you a meaningful view of the stat. I don't understand how this is so hard to understand. I'm sorry, maybe it is hard to understand. Can I just do this one quick example, and then we'll move on, and I'll go play League of Legends, dude. I hate talking about this shit. Let's say that you do a survey. We did something similar in psych. I don't remember the exact stats, okay? Let's say that you do a survey of kids at school, and you find out their average grades, and you tie them to the answers that they gave to your survey. How many hours of sleep do you give per night, okay? Do you get per night? And your goal is, you want to find out if sleep is correlated with success in school, okay? So, what you find out when you do this survey is that kids who slept for 4 hours a night did really bad, okay? All the way up to the kids that were sleeping at 9 hours a night, and then there's a little drop off after that, right? So, when you get this graph presented to you, okay, what does it tell you, okay? This graph can tell you one thing and one thing alone, okay? It'll only tell you one thing. This stat tells you that kids that do sleep longer, okay, get better grades than kids that don't sleep longer. That's it. Now, be careful. It doesn't tell you that sleeping longer will get you better grades, and it doesn't tell you that cutting your sleep will give you worse grades. It doesn't make any of those two claims. Those two claims are causal links that are not supported by this data. Does that make sense? So, all this stat tells you is that kids that sleep longer tend to get better grades, okay? But it doesn't tell you that sleeping longer will get you better grades, and it doesn't tell you that cutting your sleep will get you worse grades, right? So why is that, right? okay? Because all we've found here is that there is a correlation between grades and sleep, okay? Destiny, so all you're saying is correlation does not equal causation. Why not just say, because that statement doesn't mean anything. Saying correlation doesn't cause, that doesn't mean anything because most people are too stupid to know what those words mean. I don't think most people know what correlation and causation means. I think that if I held the average Trump supporter in a locked room and put a gun next to their fucking head and I said, tell me what the difference is between a correlated stat and a correlated link and a causal link, I think that I would kill 9 out of 10 of them. I don't think they could give the answer, okay? Okay, so let's explore a little bit deeper in here, okay? Let's explore this a little bit more. Okay, well, Destiny, this stat makes it look like if you sleep longer, you'll do better in school. So why is it, and I can even tie this into the Sargon debate that I had, okay? And why I was so incredibly fucking frustrated with Sargon, because I thought this was something that every person above a certain fucking IQ level of 95 understood, but I guess it's not, okay? Destiny, why can't we just tell the kids sleeping 5 hours and 6 hours a night? Why can't we just tell them to sleep longer so that they'll do better in school, right? Well, what happened was, if I recall correctly, this is a long time ago, right? But even if this didn't happen, right? Hypothetically, what happened is when the researchers did a little bit more digging, they found that when they controlled for certain factors, like parents' involvements with the kid at school, or with socioeconomic background, or geographic location, they found that a lot of this sleep stuff disappeared. So let's say that we do this exact same graph, okay? Now, let's say that we have, okay, so let's say that we take our grades, okay? And, okay. Now, what are we going to do, okay? We're going to only poll wealthy children, okay? Let's say that we only poll wealthy children, okay? We only poll wealthy children, people that are economically privileged, okay? When we poll wealthy children, maybe we find something like this, okay? Maybe we find something like this. Okay, well, now we have a far different picture. Now we have a way different picture about what's going on, right? Maybe there is a correlation with sleep and academic success, but it's not anywhere near as strong as the correlation looked here, right? And then let's say that we poll people now, and let's say that we poll only economically disenfranchised people, okay? Let's say that we poll economically disenfranchised people, and let's say that we find something like this, okay? We still see the same correlation, right? But the correlation is a much weaker link. Now, let's say that we poll people, and let's say that we poll based on your economic background, or how much, or we can even say like the amount of hours that a parent spends studying per night with a child versus, oh fuck, that's not a real button. So let's say that we poll economic background. Or actually, let's say that we poll amount of hours that a parent spends per night with a child versus the grades that they get, right? So we get rid of this, or so we get rid of this shit, right? Or no, we'll say, fuck, I would have to redo this graph, right? Okay, so let's say that we have all the way from, all right, we dump these numbers. Okay, so we're gonna start at 0 minutes all the way up to 1 hour, right? So let's say that we do this, okay? And then we find that parents that spend more time with their kids, okay, tend to do better in school, right? If we have all of this information, okay? If we have all of this information, right? We can start to make incredibly different statements about what it was that we were talking about earlier. Does this make sense? So based on your first graph, okay, well, kids sleep more, they get better grades. It must be the sleep. Okay, but if we control for economic variables and we only poll the rich kids, even the rich kids that don't get that much sleep still seem to do good in school. And even the poor kids that do get a lot of sleep, they still have, even the kids that get a lot of sleep that are poor, they still do not that great in school, right? So what's going on? Well, when we look at socioeconomic background, or we look at parents' investment in child education, well, now we're finding something far different, right? Now, what happened, I'm pretty sure in psych class, I'm pretty sure that what ended up happening with the study is what they found was that parents that were economically privileged tended to have a higher chance of having a stay-at-home mother, or parents that had a greater investment in their child's education because of their socioeconomic background were able to spend more time with their children studying. So what happened was kids that weren't getting a lot of sleep were usually just kids that were neglected by their parents in lower economic households that just didn't sleep a lot and didn't get a lot of help in schoolwork. And that was the actual, like, there were more strong arguments for a causal link there rather than just saying that kids that don't sleep a lot tended to be better in school. Does everything that I just talked about make sense? Do you understand how any of these graphs could give you a very different story about what's going on? Any of these graphs could tell you a different story, but you have to look at all of the data together, and then preferably you get an expert to come in and to contextualize all the data for you together, and then put all of it together and give you some kind of explanation for what's going on based on their background in studying the area. Do you understand? Does that explanation make sense? Since you met, the problem with the Sargon debate is that there is a stat that is true, okay? Married people tend to be more successful than unmarried people. That is a true, I'm pretty sure that's a true stat, right? So what Sargon was saying was that if all black people would just get married, they would do better off. This is unimaginably fucking stupid. For all of the reasons that I just explained. Do I have to explain why? Or do we not understand?
Destiny, calm down, teehee.
That was like 30 minutes of our argument. Sargon had a causal link. No, I don't want to ban you again, Kira, because everybody's going to cry because you do movie streams. Never mind. I've already banned one alt-writer today, okay? Don't make me ban another, dude. I will bet you $50 that Sargon does not have a causal link established between marriage and success. If you want to bet that right now, Kira. I know I can make that bet because no educated person would ever claim to have established that causal link because there are 50 million variables impacting whether or not somebody gets married. Like, this is one of those statements that you making that statement, like, shows how absolutely fucking retarded you are. Like, I don't mean to say it like that, but, like, the fact that you would say, well, it has causally been established that getting married contributes to success is like, the fact that you would even say that, I want to understand how people feel when I argue with them. I feel like more and more of the arguments that I jump into is like, we're like, the only way we can have a discussion is to back up and talk about things that I learned in grade school. I don't know. Destiny, you don't have a correlational link, so you and Sargon are both 50-50 at the moment. Nope. Sorry, dog. That's number 2. I can't do it, dude. I can't do it. I can't engage with these people. There has to be like a military police that takes you off and like forces you to attend some type of education for like 6 months, and then once you come out like a reformed person, maybe you're equipped to like analyze information, dude. I can't do it, man. I feel like what you're saying is very obvious. That's what I thought it was, but I'm not sure. I think I'm actually a very intelligent. I think I'm in the top 1% of intelligence in the fucking world. If these because I used to think growing up, I was like, okay, correlation, causation, I got that. That must not be too hard. But I think that that might be like one of the most difficult things in the world to understand. But the fact that I can understand it, man, I must be like top 1%, a genius. I have to be. Because, right? How else do you explain all of these fucking idiots that can't understand something as simple as that? I thought it was simple. But maybe all of these things that I learned in high school that I thought were really simple, maybe they're really, really, really difficult to understand. And I was just able to grasp them so hard because I'm just such an ingenious individual. Maybe, dude.
Listening
I finally
to
clicked.
Vincent's voice of reason over the last year, I feel that if you went to law school and solidified your arguments and points of view, you could potentially have a lasting positive impact on this country.
Thanks, buddy. I think I can make the argument for the guy you just banned. You said I was 50-50. I was saying that there are a lot of variables that go into fucking black people in the United States today compared to white people. All of slavery, all of Jim Crow, all of gentrification, all of the ghettoization of black people. There are tons of different things that impact black people in the United States. And Sargon said, well, people that get married tend to do better than people that aren't married. So if all black, okay, People that do married tend to do better than people who aren't married. What kind of people tend to get married? Evangelical, white people that tend to be better financially off, that tend to have better and stronger family structures, that tend to have better support from their family, that tend to be better educated, that tend to live in better areas, that tend to be from better, that tend to be better from socioeconomic backgrounds. There are 50 million things that go into getting married, right? You cannot just say from there, well, all these people get married and they do better. Maybe if black people all just got married, they'd be doing better. How could you even make that claim? You cannot say, well, Destiny, since you didn't disprove Sargon, you're at a 50-50. What the fuck? No, that's not true at all. What? No. If you want to make the causal establishment or the causal link between marriage and success, there is so much research that goes into that for you to make that claim, you better fucking have a massive fucking groundbreaking meta-analysis of 50 million different studies from field leading sociologists and political scientists and economists to make these statements, right? This is not something like, well, I read the Pew Research poll and married people are happier, so therefore, like, that's so insanely fucking stupid to say. Like, but I feel like everything that I just said sounds really fucking obvious to me. I thought it was really obvious. I don't know, dude. I don't get it. How does that make it a Muslim ban?
Destiny, I'm sorry I mean too close to the sun. I'm not actually retarded. Please unban me.
I know you are.
That was a pretty sick bait.
It wasn't a bait, dude. I watch you in chat. Do you think I don't look at my chatters? I know you're an alt-righter, dog. I know you are, dude. I know you are. Why are you pretending you're not now? You little pussy-ass bitch. Because you're just like all the other fucking dudes that pretend that they're fucking not. It's okay, dude. I know you are. I know you are, dog. I'll unban goddamn Twitch, too. There you go. Oh, we'll bring the 3 alt-right clubbers back. I know there are a few more hidden in there as well. I'm pretty sure Invalid is. Invalid, Kira, goddamn Twitch, Ray, and there are a couple others in there, too. I keep an eye on you guys. I know who you all are, okay? 90% of these people are trolling the shit out of you, bro. But they're not! Doug, it's not a troll. People believe this shit. Kellyanne Conway invented a terrorist attack, and people aren't even mad about it, dude. Oh my god. Can we have a moment of silence for the green sandwich? What is it called? What massacre? The Green Bay massacre? Oh fuck. What was it even called? The Bowling Green massacre? Who is she talking to that gave her this term? Oh my god. I can't even believe it. I can't even believe it, dude.
I don't want to get into this because I think I'm just going to get fucking triggered.